Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Today on the Firefighters podcast, we are shining a light on one of the most important but often overlooked pieces of kit in the firefighters world, and that's your boots. We are talking about the launch of the next generation fire boot from HAIX and Gore-Tex, two names that have been quietly and consistently pushing innovation across the sector for literally decades. With over 75 years of experience behind them, HAIX has been there every stage and step of the way for firefighter footwear evolution, from the first ever leather boots all the way up to the Fire Eagle 2.0, and now this groundbreaking new step, the first firefighting boots made with Gore-Tex's Extraguard upper material. This isn't just about lighter gear, it's a long-term health strategy. We're talking about injury reduction, we're talking about real-world performance, and especially when seconds count. We're talking no braking time. We're talking waterproof that holds up under pressure, and materials designed for durability, comfort, and even personal ethics. We'll be joined on this one by Simon Ash from HAIX and Oli Willson from Gore, who are going to talk us through why this boot, which you see all across the firefighter sector, and especially in the Firefighter Challenge, where we only accept the best, why this new boot matters, how firefighter feedback has helped shape it, and how their partnership is setting new standards for PPE that doesn't just meet the moment, but helps future-proof the job. And we also want to give a huge shout out to HAIX and Gore, not just for the innovation, but for their ongoing support of the podcast and the wider fire sector. Honestly, their commitment to progress, safety, and sustainability helps make these conversations possible and pushes the whole industry forward. I'll see you on the other side. What is so different about this new evolution?
Weight. It's light, it's flexible, it's comfortable. That's what the big difference from the people we've given the boot to. They just first thing they do, cool, that's light.
Yeah, we're speaking just about the feedback from, what was the service that was trialing them?
Northants.
Northants.
Yeah.
Incredible feedback.
Yeah.
And the lighter element of that's why it's always been so popular with the fire challenge community, isn't it? What do you think that makes a real difference to the operational firefighter that's wearing them day in, day out?
I mean, there's a lot of stats around weight on your feet. Means you can, the extra weight on your feet you can take, it equates to weight on your back, etc., etc. So if you can take weight off your feet, then it means you can carry more with a little bit more ease. Your helmet's a bit more heavier or whatever.
Is there a calculation for that? Like when you extrapolate that out over years and the detrimental effect it has on someone wearing a heavier boot, wearing a boot that, holds water and all that sort of stuff, because we spend so much time on our feet, there must be a real well-being connection with this.
There is actually. I mean, we did one at Gore around this, and it was for every 100 grams on your feet you save, you can put an extra 500 grams in your backpack.
Nice. So that's sort of coming more not necessarily just from the military world, but I suppose they think of that in terms of when they're doing the ruck walks and all that sort of stuff. But for us, as our garments and our BA sets and the role of the firefighter gets more and more complex, that's a big factor for us as well.
Well, it's huge. And when you start to look at, say, obviously with the recent conversations around the national framework, where it's all about weight of the suit, what's not actually kind of being talked about is the weight of footwear. Because actually saving 50 grams in your fire suit can score you extra points potentially. Oh, really? Whereas actually, you can do that with your footwear. And actually you could be saving here quite a few hundreds of grams. So actually that's a question that we've been starting to talk about internally, is that, well, as we talk about the physiological benefits of a lighter suit with heat stress, well, if you've got really heavy boots on your feet, which unfortunately fire boots have to be heavy because of what the demands that they have to cope with.
Do they have to be heavy? So there's you know what I'm saying? It's a good challenge to think about, though, isn't it?
Because, too right,
It's kind of like just word association games. We say boots and we automatically think heavy. They've always been heavy because they need to be puncture proof. They need to be thick, heavy. You pick up a heavy leather jacket, you go, this is reliable. It kind of weight sometimes
there's an absolute balance
association with
for sure.
reliance.
I've just come from a forestry show this last weekend where I've been dealing with tree surgeons and stuff like that, and they said, I want a lighter boot. So okay, we can make it lighter, but generally if you take weight out, you're going to sacrifice some protection. So you get the balance right. What we've managed to do with the fire boot, and this is with where Gore have really helped us is, right, we need a material that's going to give you the same level of protection, but is lighter.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. So it's still quite heavy. You take your Nike Vaporflies or any other sports brand shoe off your feet and put
Yeah,
on
but
a
that's
pair
not
of
comparing apples with apples.
No, but
Do you know what I mean? That's it feels heavy.
Yeah.
But compared to your gym trainer. Right, now hold it against the other fire boots that you've been wearing your entire career. It's, certainly when we go to challenge communities and people pick these up and people swim around, it's the first thing they think is that a fire boot?
Yeah.
Because it's so light.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they almost think it's not, something you wouldn't wear
I do often get asked the question, is this a full structural fire boot?
Yeah, well, let me safe wearing it.
Yeah.
This isn't just a training boot for
it's
the
not-
firefighting challenge.
You pull it and you think it's just come off the shelf for a display purpose.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a real eureka
Can I wear
moment.
this on the station?
Yeah, you pick it up
Yes.
and go, yeah, 100%.
And that's kind of where it all started from, really, with Extraguard, because
What's the uniqueness with the pairing? So the HAIX Gore-Tex, because people don't know a lot about it, because Gore-Tex is in so many things that we interact with in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It's sometimes the unsung hero of the background, both of our coats, of our jackets, of our boots. Where's this unique pairing sort of come from?
Well, we've been working with you guys for over 20, 30 years now.
Yeah, since we started making fire boots.
Yeah. And well, it's kind of progressed into lots of other fields with police, workwear, forestry, casual, comfort.
But it seems like from a technological perspective, Gore-Tex has come further forward in this one, the interaction and the stuff that we've...
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, it feels different.
This has been different with the process. So where traditionally we would listen to the market ourselves, come to the end user, speak with people like yourself and go, right, what do you really need? And we would then get to work internally ourselves with certain technologies. We did this in partnership with HAIX this time. So kind of speaking to that end user still, but also with HAIX around, okay, how can we make this different? Let's rip up the rule book.
Yeah.
And how do we make something different? And where we felt we could get kind of the biggest shift in kind of in changing that innovation piece within the fire boot was with regards to the upper technology. And weight comes out in every bit of feedback. So people want that durability of leather because it's long lasting, durable, it performs. Number one market share for upper technology globally, right?
Yeah.
But then if you look at kind of fabric shoes, they want that lightness, maybe different colour, more athletic looking. But that's the trade-off, because leather offers that durability but doesn't quite have that flexibility part, whereas more of a fabric product like a trainer that offers the colour variety, lightness, etc., but you don't get that durability. And that's where we've kind of addressed that sort of dilemma really with Extraguard.
The non-leather part of the world as well, it's something we were discussing before this, vegan, vegetarian. These things, as much as people think of them as political beach balls, people feel very passionately about this, and we can't continue to just be this sort of past mindset of, just wear it, just get on with it, just put the belt on, you stop asking for special treatment and all this sort of stuff. Not only from a sort of sustainability element and the sort of environmental impact on it, this kind of ticks a load of those boxes. And am I right in saying, you say it's actually in the new procurement element that people do have to offer?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about it, because I feel like I'm fumbling my way through that. I know what I'm trying to say there, because with recruits, with people, we need to give people choice, we need to give people options. But options for a lot of industries and a lot of services, usually they feel like it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
But from my limited understanding, this is part of the product day one anyway. So it's not as though you're having to cater expensively for a niche part of the market.
Any procurement process that we enter into now, when we get the tender specifications, you get the details of what product requirements are, etc., we have to ensure there is a vegan option available. Really? They're not saying the main option has to be always a vegan option, but they're saying within every requirement now, pretty much most.
Does that come through inclusion or inclusivity, or is that because, with respect, it's completely against certain religions, aside from people's personal food preferences? Do you know what I mean? It has a real religious context to it, and we unknowingly will be creating barriers. If people see a corporate uniform, they have a lot of these associations that I couldn't do that job because it doesn't fit with my beliefs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's I think it is all about inclusion, and I think within these kind of big businesses, etc., they need to make sure that every member of staff has the relevant PPE to do their job. And if somebody truly believes that they don't want to wear leather products, that's absolutely fine. We can't go against that belief, so we need to make sure that we provide product to meet that need. And that's, in the past it would be a mesh option or a synthetic leather and mesh option, which is lighter, etc., but it was, it is animal free. But what this gives us, obviously the Extraguard is a product or a material that performs like leather, but is animal free.
Talk to me a little bit about wet feet, Ollie, because it's something, and when people say wet feet, they go, "Don't be stupid, Pete, boots have been waterproof forever." I think they only think about it from one way, i.e. water getting in. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the work that we do, running, climbing, dragging, crawling through everything, perspiration is a big factor here. Talk to me about breathability, because when we talk about leather, people think, I'll wax it, I'll look after it, it's going to last forever and it's going to keep my feet dry. How do we cross that barrier when we start moving into new technologies like this?
Okay, so first of all, your feet sweat a lot.
Yep, mine especially.
And
that's nasty. It's not a good thing.
Well, we don't really want to talk. We don't really want to be talking about that, Pete. But anyway, feet sweat a lot. And actually, we can't. It's a natural bodily function, and especially when you add more activity into your day, your feet sweat more. So if you had an active day, whether that be working on a job and you're there for 6-7 hours, each foot will sweat up to 200 millilitres of sweat per day. So that's kind of not far off that per foot
People
per
think
day.
of a litre of supposedly it's a fifth of that. That's a lot.
So foot health is really important, because if you have poor foot health, it's going to lead to issues such as illness, like getting cold, damp feet, for example, is one of the biggest causes of flus and colds, which again relates to sick days.
It's a mental well-being thing as well for me.
Yeah, and microbacteria stuff, and do you know what I mean? It's not pleasant. So for us, with regards to Extraguard, it's a highly breathable product, equal if not more breathable than leather. So from that side of things, like we're really happy with that, and we've done testing not just with Northants but also with Munich firefighters, and that was one of the biggest things that they came up with, was that they found it more breathable. Which, considering they're already wearing a highly breathable leather boot with the HAIX product, was quite a good result for us, really. And again, the same component testing that the leather boots have gone through. So to meet the Gore-Tex standards of 500,000 flexes submerged underwater, which we showed you in Germany last year, that's still the same with obviously this product, that all the components around it have to be breathable. There's only a certain percentage of glues that can be used to ensure that product is still breathable for you as the wearer. Where there is an advantage with Extraguard is around the polish side of it. So you don't need to polish it, you just hose it down. And leather can absorb quite a lot of water, so water pickup, which Extraguard has virtually zero water pickup. So this is where we've come up with the tagline of comes light and stays light. So when your feet are submerged under water, you're at RTC in the rain, normally water would soak into the leather boot. It doesn't do that. So again, you're saving weight. But also
there's an irony, because we used to let people polish their boots.
Yeah.
We don't let people polish their boots anymore in a lot of organisations. People might be saying that's not true when they listen to this, but we don't let recruits do it, because they'll end up self-deploying and getting something that might not be agreed by the supplier, or they're introducing a flammable material into their fire boots and all that sort of stuff. So there's an irony behind saying, leather's fantastic, but we need to continue to treat leather, but we tell the user not to treat the leather. You don't tell the user, but like the purchaser, the service will say, don't treat the leather with your own stuff, and then they won't want to buy the stuff that you provide. So there's almost an irony to that, or like a slight hypocrisy for me.
There's a shift as well from a sustainability point of view, because the chemicals that are sometimes in the polishes are not always the nicest.
We don't train people how to do
environment.
it. Not saying that you don't, but it's like standardization of how people would look after their footwear would be wide spectrum.
I think it's just changing, right? If you look at even like football boots, how everyone used to have leather boots years ago, and that's kind of gone into more synthetic because they've seen the performance benefits. Where we've had the challenge in structural fire boots and technical rescue boots is that you've needed that level of performance because you're running into burning buildings. And without a doubt, leather has been that best choice for that. Now, as we start to look at new materials and new requirements from the wearer, that yes, if we can improve lightness is great. Cleaning is a big one. We talk about contaminants and things like that. So just being able to hose down, clean your boots that way will help to mitigate some of the risks with contamination, because again, it's seam sealed in the seams, so it can't soak through as much, can't soak through the upper material as much. So actually there's cleaning benefits with it as well.
Talk to me a little bit, Sire, around breaking in. So whenever we get new boots, especially with respect to leather boots, I always wear mine for quite a few days, polish them twice, and then I kind of I want to get them wet so that then they can be more flexible and all that sort of stuff. Having worn these, they didn't seem as rigid. Honestly, I know I got a new pair because they weren't handed on from somebody else that had already broken them in, but it's like they didn't seem the same sort of rigidity and discomfort with respect that I would expect from a new boot.
That's one of the key areas of feedback we've had from this boot. So where we've done the tests, to say with Munich and where we've done tests with some of the Firefighter Challenge guys, they've always kind of said there's zero breaking in time. And it's because in leather, when you first get your leather, it's relatively stiff. And we'll use anything from 2 to 3 millimeter thick leather. So that's got quite a natural kind of rigidity to it. And it takes a little bit of moisture, even a little bit of sweat coming through it to soften it up and shape it a little bit. Whereas this material is already kind of almost gone through that process. It's there already, and it's soft, it's pliable, and it works with you, and it kind of fits around your foot a lot better.
I remember when I used to play ice hockey, you get brand new leather skates. We used to soak them in hot water for a few days, and then still have to double sock it for the thing to actually start to mould to your foot. Because leather just always behaves.
Yeah, there was so many kind of, you hear stories from footballers in the past with the old leather boots and buying them a size too small and wearing them in the bath.
Sleeping in them.
That's what you want to do. Fine.
Not a reasonable expectation for our front responders.
No, exactly. Come on, firefighters, get in your bath with your boots on.
So what's the makeup of the material that enables that? Why is it so different?
I'm going to pass on to that one, the makeup of the material.
Well, there is a bit of Gore-Tex magic in there that we can't sort of give the full DNA away. Yeah. But yeah, it's a unique construction. It's a 4-layer construction that we put together. And yeah, it's a microfiber essentially. However, it's a microfiber with a difference. So microfiber's been around for quite a while, which everyone has heard about. But this is a unique Gore DNA secret sauce, Pete.
Are we sacrificing anything on longevity with these? Is my concern, because everything feels great to start with. Talk to me about the life cyclistic, because something we've always spoken about, and it's why Gore-Tex aside, I've been a massive advocate for HAIX. God knows how many years I've been wearing this stuff, because you buy well, you buy once. You know what I mean? As much as I'm lucky enough to get a new pair every now and again, if I ask for something specific, with respect, I've still got the same walking boots available to me that I had 8-9 years ago, and that's because I felt that the leather aspect was a need of it. Are we sacrificing anything?
We genuinely don't think so. I mean, you only really get the true answer to that after years and years of wear. And then we could say, actually, this is holding up just as well as leather has always held it up. From the wear trials that we've done, and we've had people absolutely beast these boots to try and wreck them. So we've done wear trials in industry. We've done wear trials, say, with Munich Fire Service is one of the bigger wear trials we've done. And so far, so good. It's kind of this is holding out really, really well.
Well, behind the back of that, would you like to say with the flex stuff as well?
Yeah,
so I can't remember the numbers, but the thousands of things that. So for people that haven't seen it, because obviously we weren't allowed to share the footage that we took a little bit of, it gets submerged in water and it's on metal fake foot, and then it's on a thing and it hinges it so all the way around the toe, just behind the toe, just before it hits metatarsal or whatever it is, it's those kink points there, and it's just in a bath of water for days. I mean, how many thousands?
Have you got a boot? I'll show you quickly.
Good. Here it is.
So what I'll put that mic down.
Reveal. Yep.
So when we test at Gore-Tex, we go way beyond the standard. So normally the standard is tested in a trough that's roughly around that level.
Okay.
We submerge it, if you remember, to that level, so above the eyelet.
Yeah.
And then we flex it 500,000 times, which is 83 hours underwater. And then, like you say, it's a foot that we put it on the last, essentially.
And also there's moisture sensors on the foot.
So as soon as you get one drop of wetness, then it will stop the test and it will say, right, the left boot has failed here.
Did it spin it in a centrifuge or something?
That's another test we do. So the reason we do that is that, so for every boot that you saw in the factory, in the lab, they have to go through that process to be signed off for mass production. But once we sign off for mass production, we still want to ensure the product quality is there. So we test 5% of every 5% of boots from production. And what HAIX will do is, with every production run they do, they will then put water into the boot in the centrifuge and they spin it around, and it's like 250 times in a minute, and that really forces pressure to try and push the water outwards.
Yeah, it's like a hydrostatic test.
Yeah, and it's a quick way of saying, right, that product is waterproof. Because if water can get in that way, it can also get in from the inside to out. So it's a quick way of them testing to make sure that quality is still there after we've signed it off. But they haven't just sent, people don't just send boots into us to get tested and then it passes so they can, and then cut corners later on. That's not what we do. So yeah, that's a big test for us. But just going on to that, which we talked about a minute ago with regards to the durability side. So the good thing and the difficult thing as well at the same time is that we test via a Martindale abrasion resistance test, which just goes round and round and round and abrades. And leather is incredibly durable. So when we compared it with Extraguard, it was the same. It was just going round and round and round, like to the point that, do you know what I mean?
For people that don't understand that, so what it is,
a rough pad.
There's a rough pad, and there's several different degrees of adhesion, whatever the word. It's like sandpaper, isn't it? And then it goes down, and like you say, just does variety. It's like on an algorithm, isn't it? It does spontaneous rubs from several different directions.
So, like a synthetic material trainer might maybe do, I don't know, 1,000 revolutions of this, but whereas leather, it might do 100,000 revolutions. So there's a real difference there. So
what's the performance comparison with them then?
What,
in terms of what the leather versus this?
Well, so actually on the Martindale in the lab, it was hard to distinguish the two because they kept on going. So what we decided, and that was my point.
It's past the point where it's like,
So
the person will be dead before this happens.
Well, actually, the sole unit will run out before that happens, because the sole unit obviously does wear down after time. And the better sole unit, like what HAIX use, that obviously lasts for longer. But what we wanted to do is actually put it into real life testing. So when we first started doing this, we put firefighters in boots, like a leather version and then an Extraguard version, a bit of a left foot and right foot. And again, you could see slightly better wear on the Extraguard. From our workwear side, actually, when we put them into a quarry environment was where we started to see the difference, because they use their feet as tools more. So were you thinking a quarry where you really harsh rocks, and there was a lot more wear pattern, and you could see the difference how Extraguard just seemed to hold up a little bit more visually to it.
Thinking about that quarry analogy, because one of the things when we speak about weight and protection is, I wanted to ask you again, I know it's something we've touched on briefly in the past, Si. What can I stand on in this stuff? So like when we're talking about urban search and rescue and building collapses and all that sort of stuff, when I speak to my old man, he's been in the building firm for many, many years, they would buy not very expensive boots with a rock hard, some sort of steel in the underfoot, because they're standing on nails all the time, walking around building sites. That was one of my first concerns when I first had boots from HAIX, and I know we went into the detail of it then, but I've slept since then. So remind me how you work, because I know you told me before what we can stand on and the pounds of pressure, and do I need to worry about nails and things like that and sharp objects when I'm wearing stuff? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by GORE-TEX Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
The test is 1,100 newtons of pressure. But that's done in a lab test with a certain type of nail. Within the European standards, recently in 2022, they revised the standards where they're looking at the difference between steel puncture-resistant midsoles and composite. So you can get two different types of midsole materials, or protective midsole materials, steel and composite. We, as HAIX, our belief is steel is the safest material in this. There is other material available, and we use other materials within our boots, within our other ranges. And the reason they're distinguishing between the two is because you need to look at tests with a fat nail and a thin nail, which is either 3 millimeters or 4.5 millimeters.
It's the elephant on high heels analogy, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's that distribution over the surface area.
Yeah, and
you did a calculation with me once, didn't you? Ages ago.
Is that the technical term, Pete? The elephant on the high heel.
Is it? That's
Use
you get
that
into
one.
Pascal's. I'm just stretching back into the IFE mindset. You talk about hydraulics and Pascals and pressure and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, it is really, really interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I remember we had the conversation because I was asking you about it as well. And stuff.
You're like, how heavy are you and Matt? And I was like, well, I'm about 115 kilos. I think Matt's about the same, maybe 1 or 2 kilos more. It's about 18 stone.
Then we brought angles of, so if you're landing flat, etc., then I think I've got my daughters to work.
It was an astonishing calculation, way over and above. There was something like I could have me and 4 Matts on my shoulders, and we could jump from 3 feet and still wouldn't.
And you should be still relative, but depending on the angle. My
tendons are going to snap long before a nail goes through the bottom of this.
Especially because it's very unlikely you're hitting it flat on with nothing in between. You've got the rubber and the midsole material before you get to the back. So I mean, the lab test is 1,100 newtons.
Do you think we're over-engineering this stuff? Because I think about this with fire garments sometimes when I go, how thick the thing is, and it can take this temperature, this temperature. I'm like, we shouldn't be in there if it's that hot.
Yeah, we can overthink it sometimes. I think this is a personal opinion.
Because I think it starts to sacrifice to the user end things. It just gets heavier and heavier. Lots of thicker steel plate.
And there's certain elements as well within. So the reason we use steel is when you hit a thinner nail, and then there's a lot of debate and testing going on with hot nails at the moment as well. Whereas if a hot nail, because a hot nail can penetrate through the rubber and the PU material of the outsole relatively quickly, and then if it hits the steel plate, it's
game over.
It's more likely just to deflect. But if it can get a purchase into another type of material, it can carry on through, and that's why
you can go down a long rabbit hole with that, though, can't you?
You can go on. You can look at all different scenarios
and maybes
and what kind of surface you're going to be on and stuff like that. I mean, we've done a lot of work on it, and that's why when you look at our range of boots, we just put a steel midsole in there because we know it works. And then we also we analyse every boot that ever comes back to us because of a fault or if there's been an injury, etc. We look at everything, and we just don't get injuries. Okay. We don't get puncture injuries from our boots. If it's a puncture injury, it's usually come around the side or something.
I would imagine more people are getting them through their knees and their elbows with respect. Like if you're crawling into those compartments, it's about personal protection, that sort of stuff. Walking across rubble.
Walking across because you're not hitting with probably the biggest danger areas when you're jumping out of the truck. If depending where you park the truck and stuff like that, if you land directly on something with all your kit on, then that's when you're going to be.
That's where I love, again, with a lot of the lace up different models that you guys and girls have, is the additional leg ankle support, because if you're stepping on all that ground, the big clumpy boots that most of us are given from a lot of other brands, you're more likely, and a lot of people had to manage someone walking down a canal bank, twisted his ankle in fire boots, and that was a right headache of an investigation because it was all around the sizing of the boot and why is there so much freedom of movement around the ankle. And I'm like, this is way above my pay grade. He fell over, like, give him some lace-up boots. And then it was the conversation around, well, we don't provide boots like that. And I'm like, obviously in my world, slightly outside of my professional role, I'm like, well, I do. From HAIX.
and that's why we kind of brought that, the Fire Eagle. We launched, the Fire Eagle in 2015 into Schutz with the two-zone lacing system. We'd already kind of launched the Fire Hero before that with that whole lacing system.
So a lot more firefighting now is rural. We were speaking about stats just before we started taking it. 10%, less than 10% of primary fires now.
Yeah,
so
if you look at
property fires into a place that's regulated, flat ground.
I think in
stairs.
2024 it was 10.2% of all call-outs taken were actual primary fires.
A lot of time, with the environmental changes and challenges, wildfires have just been absolutely on the spike in the UK. People working on rough rural terrain. 60-something% of our firefighting population is on call. Rural firefighting a lot in the UK. I feel there is just a significant more need for that additional stuff. I know it wasn't the context of our conversation today, but for me, it's probably something honestly, it's one of the things I'm most passionate about when we use our boots, because A, they're a lot lighter, but B, they're a lot more agile. They're a lot more forgiving and supportive for the wearer.
If we talking to firefighters, a lot of these events we do, and when you ask them about wildfires, and we do a lot of work with some of the wildfire research teams as well. And then the most important, you're on your feet. You don't know how long you're going to be on feet for, if you're honest, and how far you're going to walk. Yeah. And then it really comes down to comfort, because you need a boot that's going to work with you. It needs to feel like a hiking boot. Yes, to some extent, because that's what you're doing. You're hiking across all.
This I think, is an oversight when people have been issuing different PPE, as in they're giving them a different set of kit to put on the top half, and then people are tucking it into their big welly boots,
style boots,
and then everything where the big firefighting PPE would go over the boot, they're now tucking it into the boot. So they're getting stuff falling into the boot, and again, it's not giving them support, and it's just hot. It's just warm. It encourages people to get their own workarounds where they start wearing footwear that's not provided for them, and therefore it's not the best appropriate thing for the fireground. That's a real frustration for me.
And that's, I say, when we introduced the Fire Eagle, that was in response to our conversations with firefighters, and over the years the job role's changing, and the amount of work that's been done from a firefighting perspective and how to tackle fires, and also fire prevention, etc., the call outs and what you have to do are very, very different to what they used to be. And it's RTCs, etc., and all that kind of stuff where you need a more versatile boot.
What's the yellow bit on the front?
The yellow bit, which that bit? Yeah, that's a Met Guard.
A what?
A metatarsal protector. So it's a certified protection. So it basically, dropping on your foot, it saves the metatarsals.
Most welly boots, most fire boots don't have anything there, though, do they?
No,
it's just leather.
Yeah, so that's a little extra protection.
That's weird. Not that it's weird that it has it. It's weird that that's not a requirement then, considering we see all of the stuff that we drop, we pull lockers out, kit bangs around. Steel toe cap. Sounds obvious. Only goes over the toes. It only goes so far. Yeah. You drop something on you there, you're around falling debris, slates coming off roofs and all that sort of stuff. That's smashing straight into the front of your foot. Yeah, so why don't they make that a requirement for other ones? Because it's not fair, because they've not done it.
No, I think because it's very difficult to get that kind of protection into a welly style boot.
Yeah, that's their problem, isn't it? Sorry,
if they kind of made a metatarsal guard a requirement, then the welly.
A lot of the other people will struggle.
You're going to have to redesign the welly style boot. A lot of the welly style boots, and we do a welly style version of this boot, but it has a full shim protector in there, so you put as much protection as you can into the front of the boot, because you don't know what's coming down. So as you said yourself, the toe is naturally protected by the steel toe cap. But we can put more protection in. We will.
Talk to me, I know we might feel like we've already covered it. Talk to me about longevity, because I said before about buy well, buy once. Big thing that always scares people is cost on these elements of it. But again, I try and say ad nauseum about how long boots that I've had from HAIX and Gore have lasted. Try and extrapolate that number out a little bit for me, because I know people struggle with timeframes and costings and quarters and all that sort of stuff. You can have this stuff over a long period of time. How long does this stuff last?
It depends what you're doing. It's one of those things. It's like tires in a car. You could talk about how many miles will they do. We'll get firefighter boots that will be lasting 5 years plus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you'll get some people who absolutely ruin them, just because of what they're doing in them all the time. And you've got the decontamination element and all that kind of stuff that needs to be brought into the conversation. But we would expect, we give a 2-year warranty on our product.
Right.
So a manufacturer's warranty. So, we will.
So no matter what you do with it,
it's not going to go wrong.
Unless you cut it with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, or you use your boots as brakes on your motorbike at the weekend and stuff like that.
Chainsaw because they're not chainsaws.
Yeah. So it's we would expect a fire boot to last kind of, if it's your structural boot and you're not wearing it all day every day for everything, up to 5 years you'd probably get out of it.
Nice.
I think the other thing to consider is as well, so at the moment there is a purchase of a structural boot, then there'll be maybe a wildland boot, then there may be a technical rescue boot, then all of a sudden you might have a vegan option of a fire boot, and you might have a vegan option of a wildland boot. So actually from a SKU point of view, you might have 3, 4, 5 boots.
Yeah.
One of the kind of drivers is to try and have multi-purpose products where you can actually start to reduce the amount of products that you buy. Yeah. And this is where Extraguard with HAIX is very clever, because actually you start to feel straight away the lightness of it. This is structural boot, yes. Oh, and actually, God, look how light it is. I can wear this for other purposes as well.
It's a big part of the budget when people start looking at their technical rescue and use our team. So they go, you need a whole new set of PPE.
Yeah.
No, you might need some new garments up top. Boots will be absolutely fine because the thing says.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is around having female fit, which is really coming in to, it's very high on the agenda of the new framework coming out.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest things we hear when we speak to female firefighters is weight. Make the boots lighter. So straight away when they've put the boots on, they've gone, wow, these feel more comfortable, because weight has a real synergy with comfort.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
and also weight moves weight, so bigger people like me are going to notice it less, whereas somebody like that, it's a significant difference. The percentage proportional to that person's size is much more significant.
So the fact we've got a product that kind of outperforms leather in areas like less water pickup, better heat retention in cold, as well as kind of the lightness as well, then you've got it which kicks in around hitting more, being able to supply more people within that fire service, plus the animal free side of it as well. Like never before have you been able to have a vegan or animal free product that is better performing than the main boot.
So from an environmental perspective, from a personal preference, religious inclusion perspective, and from a wearing it for different functions perspective, that's the lens that we need to start looking at through our footwear, rather than different things for different environments.
I mean, we always lead with performance at Gore and HAIX. First of it is the weight side. I mean, that is the real game changer, right? But the fact we can hit other benefits to the wearer and to the service and to procurement. I mean, we haven't talked about the environmental impact of Extraguard versus leather. So this actually has a lower CO2 emission from production. So you're reducing your environmental impact. It uses a lot less water from production versus leather. These are all things that actually are really high on frameworks at the moment, because all of us have that responsibility now to lower our environmental impact. And this, by changing from one component from leather to Extraguard, can do that for you, which is quite unheard of in the world of footwear innovation. So,
it used to be something we just thought we were exempt from because of the emergency services. We can do whatever we like. It's a must. Yeah. And now you go, well, actually, we need to start dragging that into the conversation because it's a factor that needs to be included.
Better performance, lower environmental impact.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefights podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, by joining this, you'll not only support the future of the podcast, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, incident debriefs, and so much more. a growing collection of valuable resources to help you learn and grow your sport in whatever way. Dropping it in the WhatsApp group, sharing it on the local newsletter, whatever it is, it's incredibly valuable and really do support it. And we need it to make it a long-lasting resource, that legacy resource we always talk about for first responders, firefighters, and everybody everywhere who's ever been interested in joining the fire service. Now, if you're already supporting something, as many people do, it's totally cool. You can still access the podcast for free, and you'll always be able to access all the new episodes for free. But we're asking for your help to make this sustainable. And we want to keep growing, we want to keep sharing the insights, and we want to keep showcasing the incredible work happening in our community and our sector. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes.
So Pete, obviously, as we know you've been wearing leather boots for quite a few years now, and you've started to wear the Gore-Tex HAIX Extraguard. What we wanted to do was to kind of highlight some of this benefit, was actually have something that you can feel with it, because the components in each boot. So like the sole unit will be the same weight if you compare the two, laces and other bits, steel toe cap, etc. But what you can feel here is the difference. So that's an upper in a pair of boots.
So this is what
that's the volume of leather that will be used in a pair of boots. Right. And then that's the same volume in Extraguard. So that's the 40% lighter, yeah.
I feel like coasters. Yeah.
Coasters. Well, it's a way for us to be able to showcase the weight, that's the same amount of material that you would need to make a pair of boots, and then you can really feel the difference there, right?
Yeah, because there's a thing like recency bias, isn't it? Where, yes, you put a new thing on and it feels light, but unless you actually have a comparative, because your mind can't remember. Yeah. It's like when you're really hot, you can't remember what it was like to feel cold. Do you know what I mean? But when you actually lift them side by side and you go, oh, wow, that's a significant difference, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
How does the weight tie into like the user element you were speaking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been research done and kind of evidence that like a heavier fire boot can lead to mobility restrictions, more slips, trips and falls and stuff. Yeah, you drag your feet. So if you can lighten the boot in any way you can and you can pick your feet up more, then hopefully it's going to reduce the level of instances where there's slips, trips and falls.
Again, especially for more petite people.
Yeah,
because they're going to really feel it feels heavy for them.
Yeah, if the feet are feeling heavy, you're dragging your feet, you're not lifting it over. You know, more 9 times out of 10, you can't actually see where you're putting your feet and stuff. So you've got to be pretty kind of
there's
nimble.
Lots of opportunities on a fire ground for slip, trips and falls. It's always the first thing that goes into a risk assessment. Yeah, slip, trips and falls. Yeah, because that happens all the time, and it brings you back to that roll in the ankle and everything else, because you're dragging your feet, you're in heavy boots and you're knackered.
Yeah, so if any way you can reduce weight into the boot without sacrificing protection, then absolutely you'll do that to help prevent other areas where you can have accidents.
I want to be respectful of time. I know we've got places to go. You said about vegan earlier. How do you actually go about proving something like that?
Okay, so it's very challenging is the response to that, and
because you see the word around a lot. Yeah. And like my missus, as an example, is gluten free. She has real severe intolerances to stuff.
Okay,
and people say stuff, and she's unfortunately got really poorly, like having a fit poorly when she's been in places and there's been cross contamination.
Yeah. So, well, as you know, greenwashing is a real thing that we just want to be nowhere near, and we always take the scientific approach to sustainability and claims. So
greenwashing, I've heard that term before.
Really? Yeah, greenwashing is it's quite a
people make these big blanket terms.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, we tend to take our time a bit more and come out with a statement once we've got the sustainability team that have done full thorough.
Done 500,000 flexes.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? That level of detail, but in sustainability. So we've got teams globally that deal with this kind of thing. And so first of all, the word vegan, there are multiple vegan businesses. So it's not just one word and one brand. And so whilst you have a product that might be vegan, that meets a certain standard, actually it doesn't necessarily mean that product could be at the end vegan. Because, so like from a Gore-Tex point of view, so we've had Extraguard tested and there are no animal products in that product. And then you have to then segment your supply chain. So we send that to Simon at HAIX. They then produce the boot, and they've got a separate supply chain, and everything's
the whole production line.
The whole production line is different, done. So they tick that box. But then for argument's sake, then that product gets shipped, it goes through a delivery network. You don't know what's happening there.
That's all bottom line,
they could, do you know what I mean, go and eat a beef burger for the lunch and then deliver that.
Where it was made versus where it was packaged, if the people that package it is not handled. So
we are saying that it is animal free and there's no intentional animal products added. So it is a challenging space. And
one they'll get challenged heavily enough for others in terms of proving their. So I know it's hard to know because you don't see behind their curtain.
So from our side, we have got the paperwork and data package to build that up to provide that to the fire service. Yeah, because we want to do it the right way. So as I say, you know, we don't talk about what others do, but we work really closely with the HAIX team to ensure that what we say it is, it is. So it's certainly a challenging world when we talk about things like this, but we can just go by the facts and what we've done to achieve that.
Well, I absolutely love it. So lucky enough to get a pair and continue to wear them both in work, personal, private life, all that sort of stuff. I know on the challenge circuit, I know that's a very small niche part of the market, but that's where a lot of the high performers that really care about this sort of stuff, that is where it's really, really impressive. And that's where a lot of this stuff starts to come into it, because they get a lot more serious about the way they're treating their body, the way they're looking after it. So that's where this stuff, and if we're expecting our firefighters to keep working until they're 60, we need to empower them with the right stuff to do so.
Give them the best kit we can.
Absolutely. I always appreciate the efforts, gang, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.